Okay, Lisa, I've sat down and I've thought about this a couple of days now, and if we're going to do it, we're going to do this thing right, and you're going to have the best experience that I can come up with as far as gun ownership and also learning how to use that gun. I've spoken to several gun ranges in your area, and they are all very interested in working with you and helping you make this the best experience possible. Many of the classes that they have are on a step system. You'll start with pistol, progress to rifle, and then to shotgun. There's pluses and minuses to that. I'm okay with it. I prefer just to go with whatever you're going to shoot with first, but if it's their system, that's the way they're going to work with it. And we are kind of tied to the California system, mostly because it's near where you're at, and also because it is probably the best way for you to get good training in that area, so you don't have to go anywhere else. I'm going to be sending you a bunch of different links to your email. Some of them will be videos, some of them will be articles. They'll all be dealing with learning how to shoot, and in most cases it's going to be specifically towards women learning how to shoot. That's a huge group that is new to firearms, that a lot of people or a lot of women are learning how to shoot and are becoming very interested in the shooting sports. And I think it's very important for you to kind of see where they're at, and also because we do know men and women do learn things differently and do feel differently about certain things. I want you to have the most comfortable, relaxing, and enjoyable experience while you learn these things. So keep an eye out for that. Now, that being said, I did want to make you at least one video to kind of go over some things that I think are important for first steps, and it's going to be a very simple video on how cartridges work, and in a minute we'll talk about that. I'm hoping that this will be beneficial for you, and I hope that you'll be able to get something out of it and be able to move forward with it. I'm going to try to make this, as I said, as short as possible and go from there. The topics that we're going to address are what are cartridges, what are primers, rimfire cartridges versus centerfire cartridges, and the path from the striking of the primer to the hitting of the target. As far as classifications go, there are two main primer ignition systems. One of them being rimfire, the other one being centerfire. After that, there are two main types of cartridges. There's metallic, and then there is shotgun. Shotgun cartridges, like in the example we're going to talk about, are made of plastic. They can also be made out of paper as well. Plastic and other alloys like that are most common. The first cartridge type we're going to talk about is rimfire cartridges. Rimfire cartridges traditionally are of smaller caliber. They most commonly currently are 22 and 22 long rifle being the most common. There's also 17 caliber, but that's an incredibly high speed varmint round that we won't have to worry about. Just above my pencil here, this is a 22 long rifle cartridge. They also do make 22 shorts, 22 longs, 22 long rifle, and they also have 22 Magnum, which is also a rimfire cartridge. You'll learn more about that as we go along. The 3 pistols that I have on the table today are all in .22 long rifle. Starting from the upper left, this is a Sig Sauer Mosquito that's based on their P226. This is a Ruger Mark IV 22-45. The reason it's called 45 is it has a .45 caliber style hand grip that's very common and very popular amongst people. The other one is a Walther P22, this pistol right here. This is the one that gummed up on me the day at the range when I was telling you about shooting that match. Rimfire cartridges, and they look something like this if it was done to scale. I've made it larger so it's a little bit easier to see. The firing pin is fairly square overall. When it punctures or hits the primer material, it will look like this. So what is happening is the primer material is all in the base, like that. And then we'll talk more about that in just a few moments as well. The next one we're going to talk about is centerfire. The centerfire will look like this, and then like this after it's been ignited. Centerfire firing pins tend to be longer and thinner, and the primer itself is a 2-system design, and I won't bore you with the whole idea of it, but the ignition compound is protected by a small barrier that once the primer is struck by the firing pin, it ignites the powder. This is a .308 Winchester cartridge. The primer is right here, and this is a metallic cartridge. The reason that I know it's a .308 is the size of the diameter of the bullet, and also related to the size of the cartridge itself, and the cartridge being the brass component. Shotgun shell, as you can see, similar construction, primer in the center, plastic outside. 12 gauge refers to the size or the diameter of the cartridge itself. And this is our .22 caliber here. Unfortunately, it's not easy to see, but that is what a rimfire looks like. A bullet itself is contained in the top. This is a 9mm. Yes, that is blue. It is actually a lead bullet that is powder coated blue, and the idea behind that is it allows less leading or leaving of lead in the barrel of the pistol or gun that it fires from. As you may or may not remember, we were in art class together when we were in 6th grade, and my art has not improved since that time. This is what a cartridge looks like, and I'll go over the parts for you, and unfortunately, as I have said, not a very good artist. The bottom part here, this is where the primer is at. I've made this a centerfire cartridge, but the concept works the same in rimfire as well. The primer is struck, causing the gunpowder that's here to be ignited. The reason that you never have a cartridge that is completely full of gunpowder is that gunpowder has to burn, and the burning creates gas which pushes the bullet out of the cartridge and then down the barrel of the gun. So what happens what happens is the firing pin strikes the primer, igniting the primer, igniting the gunpowder. The gunpowder burns, creating gas that pushes the bullet out of the cartridge into the barrel and onto the target. This is to reiterate basically what we've already talked about. The trigger is pressed, firing pin moves forward, striking the cartridge, detonating the primer, gunpowder ignites, gas builds up rapidly, bullet is pushed into the barrel, bullet engages the rifling of the barrel, and we'll talk about that another time. Bullet exits the barrel, and bullet flies to the target. It takes about 2 seconds for all of that to happen, if not less. Okay, well, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I am working on this. I know that you're a very busy person, and I'm going to try to find some place that has a pretty flexible schedule for you. Most places in your area seem to, and then we will go from there. Some of the things that I think are important that I'm going to be looking into is a place that's not going to make you or pressure you into buying a certain type of weapon when you don't like that weapon. Everybody has their own preferences. You are no different than anybody else. So once you get to that stage that you're ready to purchase a weapon, we will find the one that you like. And we will find one that you will shoot, because if you don't like something, you're not going to do it, and there's no reason spending that money. That's everything that I have to say. Thank you very much for enjoying. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for spending some time with me this evening talking about cartridges, and I will send you stuff that's more professionally done and has better content that will get you going to where you want to be. Good night now.